Hello and welcome to my channel. Go ahead, hit the like, hit the share. This video, we're going to talk about the Baltimore accusers and some other connecting factors from the city of Baltimore. First, we're going to take a look at a little something that the media has overlooked about these accusers.
It affects go back generations. In Baltimore, you see numbers, hear numbers.
1, Prima. 2, number 34, Owen Creighton. 45, Montrell Rivers.
Measuring where? 82 Paul Smith.
176, Chloe Miles III.
And how many? 342 James Wood.
661, Keith Madison.
It can feel like too many to count, too many to bear.
1000, Daniel Mulhausen.
Behind each number is a story
1093, Gilbert Waite.
of a sister, father, a son.
116th murder.
Murder 216. In the year 2016, Amani Grossman, Latrice Scaff's son. Latrice raised a family here along Bonaparte Avenue in East Baltimore. It may not have been sweet, but it was home.
They seen people get beat up real bad. You know, like I said, bodies. They hear gunshots. They couldn't go outside and play.
Her oldest son, Amani, grew up here.
It's like the life of the family gatherings. Make everybody laugh.
But that brightness began to fade as a teen.
We would talk about the violence every day. You know, like things like, Mom, if you don't get us out this city, I'ma die. I know I'ma die.
Despite those fears, Amani remained resilient. That's Amani making a game-winning basket in a middle school game.
That ended up being one of those games where everyone rushes off the court and everyone's cheering and all that stuff. So that's probably the first memory that I have. When I think of Amani, that's probably the first memory that I have.
Pablo Korpecki coached Amani in middle school.
He's the kind of player, you know, coaches dream about.
Away from school, though, Amani faced threats and unshakable street violence. At 13, his life was threatened at knife point, and he never shook what he witnessed while shooting dice one day along his block. Amani described to a psychologist how, quote, a guy came up and blew another guy's brains out. Doctors later diagnosed Amani with PTSD. Amani's evaluation followed one of his 3 arrests by the age of 17. The cases involved an armed robbery, a carjacking, and an alleged sex offense. Prosecutors dropped the charges in all but one case. Amani pled guilty in the sex offense. A judge sentenced him to 10 years but suspended 9 of them. One of his childhood friends was a co-defendant in that case.
That's what kept drawing him back into the city, his childhood friends.
That's why Latrice sent Amani to Virginia to earn his high school diploma.
While he was away in school, he lost maybe like 3 of his close friends to gun violence. So that's when I got nervous about him coming back to Baltimore.
Latrice moved out of the city and into the county in hopes of providing a safer life for her family.
He didn't like it out here. He said it was nothing to do. He was bored.
By 2016, Amani was back in Baltimore with the same childhood friend charged in that sex offense case. This video shows them together on September 14th. Seconds later, shots rang out. Amani's childhood friend stood by and watched as he was murdered.
I felt it. It was horrible. This is the most pain I ever endured in life.
Since the beginning of 2015, almost 1,100 people have been murdered in Baltimore. A single number that doesn't provide a true reflection of the total number of mothers, sons, and friends left wounded.
It made you look in the mirror a little bit and figure out, like, where are we kind of failing them?
Amani's bed just as he left it that day.
I just hug the pillow sometimes because I can still smell them.
In the corner is his jersey,
Love basketball.
a gift from the team.
He's at the end. Number 2. I was picturing him going out of state to college, playing professional basketball.
A similar picture now hangs in the gym at Amani's middle school.
He's very much alive. In different places I've written down his name and things like that. So, you know, whenever I'm having a bad day, you might open the book and in your notebook and you kind of see him, see his name there, and you kind of remember that there's a reason why we're here and there's a reason why we're doing what we're doing. It's got to stop being our meat place.
This is one of the few spots where families don't want to meet.
Hey.
It's been just over a year and a half since Amani's murder, and family members are gathering again to see Amani's newly placed headstone. It's just one of the grave sites Latrice plans to visit.
Look at my brother.
Loss in this family has been passed down generation to generation. Latrice's brother was shot and killed in Baltimore in 2003. Her father, murdered in 1981.
I don't even know what to do at this point in time. It's too much. Something has to be done with these murders.
Baltimore has lost more than 1,000 people over the past 3 years to murder. Latrice has lost 3. But there's one new number. Amani's son. A child with the same potential as those who've come before him.
And kingdom come, thy will be
A
done.
hope Latrice holds on to.
Lead us not. Deliver us from evil.
And prays this next generation
Love you, Marnie.
will follow a different path.
All them bullets.
We told you Amani's story tonight.
Now, the first time I saw this, I knew something just wasn't sitting right with me. Of course, you had people mocking Gloria Allred over the fact that she's holding LL Cool J's picture while talking about R. Kelly. That was a red flag. But as you dig deeper into these accusers, which is what is highly recommended, you will come to find their checkered past. It's funny they try to flip the narrative and make it seem as though R. Kelly preyed upon these disadvantaged women, when it seems like to me, when it comes to slandering R. Kelly's name, it proved to be beneficial to come up with these broken and impoverished women going through a struggle. As we just saw with that news clip, Latrice Scaff, which is one of the Baltimore women accusing R. Kelly of sexual misconduct or sexual assault, has quite a lengthy past. That news clip was from May 2018. As mentioned in the news clip, Latrice has suffered quite a lot of loss in the city of Baltimore. So it would be no surprise that she would be willing to do anything to get away from Baltimore. So let's take a step back and fast forward to 2019, February to be exact. You have Latrice and her friend contacting Gloria Allred with quite a story to tell. According to them, they were picked out of a crowd during a performance at the Baltimore Grand in either 1995 or 96 and told his security staff to put the girls on stage. Second red flag. Which year was it? 95 or 96?
When I first met R. Kelly that night, I was very happy and excited because I was young and I was starstruck. However, now that I'm an adult, I feel hurt by what he did to me. When I was only 16 years old, when Kelly was alone with me, he asked me to perform oral sex on him. I was under the influence of marijuana and alcohol, and I did it. He then had sexual intercourse with me, even though I did not have the capacity to consent. When he was finished, Kelly said to me, "You're not going to please me?" I thought he meant a threesome with Rochelle. I told him that Rochelle was not going to do it. Then I asked Rochelle to come out of the bathroom. When Rochelle came, Kelly said, "Latrice needs to turn you out." Rochelle did not know what that meant. Then Kelly left the room. Neither Rochelle nor I saw him again. I'm coming forward now because I feel this is the right thing to do. I'm speaking out because I want to encourage other victims who I know must be out there, to come forward as well. I want justice for anybody who was a victim of R. Kelly.
Quite interesting. If you go by what she's saying, she was just a teenager. She was young and starstruck. But what they're doing is what they've done with all the other victims, is play with these ages. Let's talk about exactly when this concert occurred, since they don't know whether it was 95 or 96. Now, according to all the articles I could find, the tour between LL Cool J, R. Kelly, and Escape began in April 1996. And it was like a 46-47 city tour. But what should be noted is that in this particular article, it makes note to the fact that in his last tour in Georgia, police tried to secretly videotape the show looking to bring charges or get a charge, but Kelly insists he's never done anything worth being arrested for. So even back in the 90s, it would appear that the police was always trying to find a reason to arrest R. Kelly. Also, it should be noted that according to Demetrius Smith's book that he wrote, even back in this time period, R. Kelly was under the impression or under the suspicion that girls were being planted to trap him. According to Demetrius Smith, he was trying to get R. Kelly to produce some girl that he met. And the first thing R. Kelly asked was how old she was. He said he couldn't work with any girls under the age of 18 anymore. He says, Demetrius, I feel like girls are being planted on me. So even back in the 90s, he was saying that he's not allowed to work with girls under the age of 18. So that just another food for thought when it comes to anybody that came up. Wouldn't it imply that if he had the impression that he couldn't work with girls under the age of 18 in the 90s, he shouldn't be working with them in 2015 either. Now, should he? But anyways, let's move along. Now, according to these girls, they were 16, 17 in these photos. Let's just take a good look at their attire, first and foremost. Is this the way a 16, 17-year-old should be going anywhere? And another note to be mentioned, coming from a fan's perspective, I don't know how true it is or not, but according to them, you had to be 18 to get into R. Kelly's concerts. we keep hearing this narrative about these 17-year-old girls. Well, I'm sorry, but this does not look like an image of a 17-year-old girl. And even more so, let's give you some more reasonable doubt. Because according to Latrice Scaff's age, something ain't adding up. Because according to Latrice Scaff's background, she was born in 1978, which would put her at the age of 42. So in 1996, she was every bit of 18, not 17. Not only that, she has quite a lengthy background report. So let's go to her statement, which was released by Gloria Allred, in which she says, I was 16 years old and living in Baltimore when I met R. Kelly in 1995. First mistake. My friend Rochelle and I went to a concert that R. Kelly and LL Cool J were performing in together. We had bought tickets to the concert and to the after party as well. At the after party, Mr. Kelly pointed to us and talked to his security. He said to put us on the stage. The after party was held at a nightclub called Baltimore Grand. Security took us to the stage. A photographer took pictures of us. So the after party was held at a nightclub, yet a 15 and 16-year-old could buy a ticket. Like, make that make sense. How could a 15 and 16-year-old buy tickets to a nightclub unless they had fake IDs or was 18? A man with Kelly was offering us drugs, cocaine and marijuana. We had never done cocaine and did not take it. We both tried the marijuana that was offered to us. It was my first time. We were also offered alcohol. We accepted it and both of us got drunk. No one at the door of the club or inside the club asked us for identification to make sure we were old enough to be drinking alcohol. I find that hard to believe with all the clubs I've been in. They definitely ID me. Blah, blah, blah. We were alone in the room waiting for Kelly. We were excited that we were going to be with R. Kelly again, and we called the local radio station. We said, we are here with R. Kelly, meaning we were in his room and that he could be here in a couple of minutes. The radio station said, call us back. If your number matches the hotel where we know he stays, then we will put you on the radio. So while they are allegedly waiting for R. Kelly, they're contacting the radio station to be put on air. That makes a lot of sense, considering their story was just, I was given marijuana and alcohol, which was the first time, and I'm not conscious enough to not have sex with a person, but I'm conscious enough to reach out to the radio and try to get some clout for being around R. Kelly. Okay, makes sense. The man who had let us into the room returned, and he had a walkie-talkie. He said, R. Kelly is getting ready to enter the room. Pull up your dresses. Rochelle and I did what we were told. We were standing and we had panties on underneath our dresses. Then R. Kelly came into the room a few minutes later. The other man left right away when Kelly entered the room. blah, blah, blah. According to this, Rochelle had been raped in 1995, which was about 6 months before meeting R. Kelly, and she had seen the man who raped her that day in the mall. So she was raped and ended up in another situation where she's fearful of being pressured into sex with this artist. My thing is this, another red flag. For a woman to have been sexually assaulted, 9 times out of 10, that woman is more guarded and is going to be more hesitant to find herself in certain situations. So when I hear people like her say, this is what she did, she's been raped before, it doesn't make any sense to me. Same way another person said the same thing, which we'll get to later in the video. Because we need to make some connections here. It's quite obvious these girls saw a come up. They are directed to contact Gloria Allred. All the attorneys they could have contacted, but they are directed to contact Gloria Allred. By who is the good question. According to Rochelle, she says she's familiar, or not she's familiar, but her cousin is a friend of someone we know of or have heard of, Dana J. So, let's start making some connections, because it's a couple more people from Baltimore. So let's address it. We know 3 people that are from Baltimore. That would be Kip Hinton, R. Kelly's former head of security, Dana J., and Angelo Clary. Now, it was said that Dana J. said he had a relationship with this girl, Latresa. So the first thing that I thought of was what I originally expected when it comes to majority of all these accusers. I strongly feel that if these women have a connection to R. Kelly or being around his camp, it's because they were involved with someone from his entourage. As stated in the non-disclosures, they claim he makes people sign. His entourage, his crew, his staff are all protected with this non-disclosure. So is it so far-fetched to believe that these girls were interacting with R. Kelly's entourage and not R. Kelly himself? Clearly, these women saw Surviving R. Kelly, which aired January 2019. And then here they come, February 2019. But that's not the only thing that happened February 2019. Now, according to Kip Hinton, he said that for the last couple years, R. Kelly was trying to track down his financing. That was what triggered all of this stuff to start happening. With that being said, we know the twins as pictured above, and we know Kenton, who was introduced to us through phases, who then brought on Dana J. According to the twins, Dana J didn't start hanging out with Rob until after he did the Phases interview. Dana met Rob years ago, but they were not connected until Kip got Dana involved as a social media influencer. But we were all recently notified by feds to block Dana J. So I don't see Dana as a valid source. And that got me to thinking, Jen is answering another question in which, if you haven't realized, Dana J has been the focus of most people's concern for the last year. Me personally, I've tried to give people the benefit of the doubt. But the more I do have communications with people and they start off on a good path, and then sooner or later they start with these Dana J conversations, I lose all interest in communicating with people. Because this very reason. According to Jen, Dana first met Rob in the late 1990s and then February 2019. Kip asked him to help raise awareness on social media after I started posting in Rob's favor. During the court stuff, none of us could be there with Rob except Dana. He recorded his calls with Kip without Kip knowing, and that's where the disconnect on our end happened, with no bad feelings. Just poor communication between everyone. Other than that, I don't know anything else. So, according to Jen, Dana met Rob first in the 90s, so that would put him there around the era of Latrice. So that would again give me the impression that, again, maybe if this person was around the camp, she was with somebody else and not R. Kelly. So then, according to Jen, Dana pops back up to help out with this social awareness February 2019. It's a lot of unanswered questions that come with that, such as, what made Kip reach out to Dana? Is it because he knows him from Baltimore, being that they're both from there? And even more so, this also demonstrates the fact that what I've said from the beginning, if people were being more proactive and paying attention to what was really going on, all of this could have been prevented. For example, if you wanted to get a social influencer to help bring awareness to R. Kelly, why not take the time to get a professional to act in this position instead of a random person you say you really don't know but recall from the 90s, which could have been any freaking body? This is another demonstration of how people can come close to R. Kelly. And what if that person you bring close to R. Kelly means him no good? Who's held accountable for that when you bring somebody around who has malicious intent? So for me, when everybody kept talking about Dana, well, if we're going to keep pointing the fingers at Dana, let's go down the line of the people who brought him in, because it only makes sense. If Dana's a mole, how could that be if he wasn't around during these specific points? Even so much to say that R. Kelly planted Azriel. If he wasn't around in 2015, as being stated, How could that be possible? Of course, those that have followed Dana J have recognized that he has implanted himself with a lot of different people. And you can take that how you want to take that. But at the end of the day, to start throwing out accusations without any merit only means somebody is formulating a distraction. People could have easily researched who Dana J is before they decided to follow him, who he's connected to, etc., etc. And even more so, those people that have animosity with him can find more proactive ways to demonstrate their support for R. Kelly than to keep targeting him specifically. Because again, let's keep this factor in mind. Throughout all this research I've done, it's very clear that Dana J is not the only person that you could view as being problematic. Let's go to another connection. Rocky Bivens, who Kip has said is his brother. Now, we all know how black folks are. We don't know if it's his real brother or not, but he said it's his brother. But again, let's go back and look at some of the things that have been released by him. And I'll do an in-depth video on Rocky Bivens at a later time, but I was just proving a point with this. Even with him, he said problematic things against R. Kelly. We obviously know there's friction between Don Russell and Dana. But if you stop focusing on these little distractions and try to put the story together, maybe it'll make a little more sense. Now I've just randomly thrown this photo in just as an example that people think that, oh, because I have a photo with this person, that proves that I was in a relationship with them or I have a deep connection with them. It's just a picture. Like, what if a person like me had a photo with celebrities, and now because I want to come up on a bag, I take a photo like this to the tabloids and make these bogus allegations against this rapper, Snooty Wild. So let's go back. If you haven't been in tune with all the bullshit, let's just follow these sequence of events. We followed Jen and heard what she had to say, followed Kip and heard what he had to say. We've heard the twins say that Kip is the person who introduced us to Dana J. But then all of a sudden, there became a problem. Now, I'm not saying this is the reason, but it could be a contributing factor. This was a message exposed between the twins and somebody else, in which she's stating that R. Kelly is working on appointing Lindsay to be his power of attorney to get his publishing started. So if they want to turn on us, they're really actually turning on him. That's the irony. That's also why we've been quiet lately and why I apologize to Dana. So we can focus on real issues and not gossipy Dana J. Don't have time for it. So behind the scenes, all these people are making these calls. Do we know if these decisions have been approved by R. Kelly? No. But it does raise suspicion. And it makes me even more questionative when I see certain people targeting one person in particular, saying that he's moving funny or he's not for Rob, when he, in my view, is not the only person that you could say have done things without R. Kelly's approval that have directly influenced the way his case has proceeded, especially when it comes to this witness intimidation shit. But no matter how many times we try to point this out, some people will keep ignoring the fact because they want to be stuck in their ego and don't want to admit that the person they feel like is doing the most is also doing a lot of damage, whether you notice it or not. There was a reason why in Surviving R. Kelly they mentioned the Surviving Lies webpage, which went over some people's head. There was a reason why certain people started their YouTube channels and started a lot of this friction and put the focus on one individual. Meanwhile, other people are doing shady things. But the main purpose of this video is to show how other people's actions are being held towards R. Kelly. The last connection I wanted to bring to your attention was this girl, Jasmine. Now, this was another situation in which I wish people would have let blow over. But as I paid attention to what's going on, this can be used as yet another example of how women will do the most to meet a celebrity, bypass all of their common sense, find themselves unhappy with the situation, and change their whole story. If we recall, back when R. Kelly was going to court, according to Dana J., he was asked to gather supporters to go and meet R. Kelly. One person with the group of supporters was this girl named Jasmine Johnson, in which she traveled across the states, didn't have much money, didn't have too much to accommodate herself. And later it comes out that she says she had been raped a couple months prior, yet put herself in another position to be around a person she doesn't know on the pretense of meeting a celebrity. Now, the first red flag I saw was when people were blasting her all over the internet, including the mysterious voice, in which she posted, 5 people told me Jasmine Johnson told them she was 26, yet her ID says she'll be 28 in 2 months in South Carolina. ID is good for 8 years, which proves this ID is fake. How old is Jasmine? Then she starts going on. At Dana J, you said all over your lives you effed her. Your crew posted pics of her vagina. If you had sex with her and she's underage, I told you 3 pieces of original ID from everyone. So according to this mysterious voice, she gets so upset because she's under the impression this Jasmine girl presented an ID, she looks young, and she's yet another person who has been brought around R. Kelly. The thing that went left for this whole situation was I'm noticing these people are being such hypocrites. They're calling out Dana J, saying that he or somebody he knows is exposing the girl, yet they're exposing him on the internet. They're harassing and trying to intimidate her. And then all of a sudden, you see them making these allegations that Dana J raped this girl. What's strange is she openly admitted on a platform that it wasn't rape. And then we heard the mysterious voice trying to coach her into saying that, well, she was pressured, which is the same as rape. Isn't that the same type of manipulation we're seeing with this case against R. Kelly? People are trying to manipulate the facts to run along with their twisted narratives. So it was an all-out attack on Dana J. So now we're going to accuse him of being a rapist. But how smart is that when he's around a person who is being charged of rape? These people make these lives and put all this information out there with no regard to how this can be viewed for R. Kelly. And that's what's disappointing about a lot of these people. For the last year, I've heard the same shit. And how Dana J has associated himself with all these people. He's relatives with Angelo. He has a baby by Rashana. He has a baby by Asante's daughter. He's cool with Sparkle. He's reaching out to Gloria Allred. All these factors. And as I said from the beginning, trust nobody. Because at the end of the day, these people are showing you what the fuck went wrong with R. Kelly. For me, when I heard that Dana J allegedly has babies by these people, it again confirmed to me that wouldn't this again go with the theory that these women are dating the security guards, the entourage, the bus drivers, and whoever else they feel will get them closer to what they want. To me, it's very obvious that these girls didn't have a real relationship with R. Kelly. And by the way, before I forget, I will be putting my baby shower registry in the descriptions. Shout out to everybody who has contributed. I appreciate everything everybody does. Comments are more than welcome. Except for anybody that's going to say disrespectful things. The one thing I have a real problem with is people coming to my channel making assumptions because I support R. Kelly and the injustice that I see. They make assumptions like, I hope nobody ever has your daughter in this situation, or I hope you or your sisters never go through this. Well, you know what assumptions make an ass out of you for assuming. You never know what a person has been through. And for the record, yes, I have been through a lot of sexual abuse. Would I act in the same manner if I found out something happened to my family as the Savages, as the Clarys? No. You definitely wouldn't see me on a TV show. Let's just keep it at that. But I digress. Now, according to some sources, Jasmine did act very strangely. So to me, it would appear that someone sent her for whatever reason. Instead of trying to crack that connection, people were more so doing things that I feel were counterproductive and causing more harm to R. Kelly's image with some of their content. Y'all will sit here and say that certain individuals are attacking R. Kelly's supporters, but y'all will turn a blind eye to all the other shit that is said. And it's okay for everybody else to do this counterproductive bullshit except one specific person. So to me, that's a little suspect. But anyways, back to the point. When it's all said and done, we should be very attentive to how they're using our own people to destroy us. The same woman who's representing so many people in this case has had her own allegations of fraud, just like Michael Avenatti. Only nobody has pressed criminal charges against her yet. The same people who have been campaigning for their political positions have been the driving force behind this whole Time's Up, Me Too agenda, and have been using these people in certain positions to boost their political standards. Take Kim Foxx, for example. Did you know that Kim Foxx has gotten quite a lot of money from a man by the name of George Soros? The same person who founded the funded the Black Lives Matter movement. Not only that, he's also donated $1 million to the Barack campaign when he was running for president. He donated $25,000 to Hillary, $6 million to the Priorities USA Action group, and $2.5 million in August. All of these are for the Democratic Party and their agenda. It was reported that George Soros gave Kim Foxx $2 million. And people are not understanding that this is a political agenda. This is pure assassination against R. Kelly. And there's people in these high places pulling the strings. These girls are just the distraction. It's a no-brainer to sit back and catch them in lie after lie after lie. When it comes to these people producing these photos, even that has to be looked at real closely, because in today's era, it's not a problem to Photoshop an image. But let's remember, all these people have a connection. All of them. Let's stop forgetting that the person who started all of the problems for R. Kelly has a very checkered past himself, including multiple lawsuits, bankruptcies, and improprieties. This man is accused of even blowing up his ex's car and has the audacity to keep sitting here playing these games with Jim Derogatis. As I said before in another video, it's mighty strange seeing all these Masons and all these different people who belong to these secret organizations popping out the woodworks. I personally feel they're doing this because they know R. Kelly is not going to break his silence. Even someone who has been acting on his behalf tells you out of his own mouth that R. Kelly would not approve of any negativity being said or done on his behalf. Yet we keep watching all these people do just that. Even the surviving lies. According to Cash, she said it was her idea. But then we have Don saying that he posted the website. But again, this was another thing that was held against R. Kelly. And yet y'all want to keep telling people like me who's for R. Kelly. Some of y'all are real fucking suspect if you ask me. Do you know the person you support, or are you still hyped up off of what has been said? Because if you support R. Kelly, some of this negativity that I see would not be. Obviously, the Jezebel spirit does not only apply to women, it applies to men as well. And we are seeing, as this case progresses, how all these people have single-handedly contributed to this man's downfall, whether it was intentional or not, by being associated with people who are doing damage to this man's image and career makes you just as guilty. It's ironic how some people can be cordial and play both sides, but then when you assume or suspect someone else is doing that, it's World War fucking III. Make your mind up. Me personally, as I'm going to say it for the 15th time, there's no reason for me to be in contact with anybody from Team Truth. Even those that feel like they are on the path of finding truth, they're still being misled. They're still hearing these people manipulate the fact that these girls were allegedly 17 when they know that isn't the case. If you ask me, R. Kelly was content being quiet, because just look at what these people are doing as they work so hard to try to bring him down. They're incriminating themselves. This girl, she got a lot of people fooled. But guess what? Everything you see isn't real. She can sit here and play these games on the internet, but the truth will prevail. And I'm going to leave you all with this video on words straight from the horse's mouth on how he feels in dealing with these type of issues. Again, shout out to everybody supporting the page. Make sure you like this video, share it. And again, here's a video straight from R. Kelly on how he feels with this type of situation.
When I think about, people and their opinions, man, and, opinion is made. I thought opinion, when you want to give your opinion about something, your motive should be right. Your motive as to why you're giving opinion should be to better something. Opinions are used for people that's mutual, like on like right here, and then they talk about what I think this should happen. Well, my opinion, I think that should happen. When people start telling, when an artist starts to tell a person that has been hot for 20 years in the business and still hot, still producing and still writing with, Grammys and every award that you can imagine that they've won, and you haven't won any, and you start giving your opinion, you will end up looking bad, to anybody.
So that's basically how I feel about some of these bloggers and their opinions. Last thing I want to leave you with is a couple of videos in which Kip, R. Kelly's former head of security, is speaking about the man that he knows.
Very upfront and very intimate. When I say intimate, meaning that I was just probably more than just his bodyguard. I sort of became like a second personal assistant, out on the road or wherever he was. I did other related duties that didn't require my security, the security requirements of my job. I did other related duties to the job. I was more or less just doing like personal assistant stuff. I sort of became that. He had other people around him, but I was the guy right next to him every day, sun up to sundown. So we talked about people around him. There was a lot of people around him, and there was a few people that we hear that stole from him, and it was public information, so it's not anything that we're talking about. But kind of in the studio, what was the vibe like? And did you see anything out of the ordinary where people were stealing from him that he really trusted? And tell me about the time in the studio. Yeah, so time in the studio, Rock he's a very hard worker. I mean, he'll be in the studio. He just didn't be in the studio at any time for up to 2 days at a time. I mean, sometimes he wouldn't even know whether it was light or dark outside. He just worked. And as long as you bought him his meals, he was fine with that. And he wasn't too cognizant of what was going on around him. And like you had guys like Daryl McDavid, who was his business manager. You had Demetrius Smith, the gentleman from the Lifetime that spoke about him. It's like people were just doing things because his attention wasn't directed in that area, and they knew that, and they took advantage of it. And I mean, financially, people were supposed to be working, they weren't working, and that's like, that's not cool because you're paying you to do a job, and you're not doing your job. So it's like I sort of just stayed minding my business and did what I was supposed to do. And then it got to the point where I would be with him riding in the car, just being him. And I'm like saying to myself, morally, how can I sit by and just not say nothing to him when I know he doesn't know? And I was like, whatever response he gives me is the response, And I saluted to him. I think certain people around you just taking advantage of you financially and just taking advantage of your kindness and taking advantage of you not, being too attentive to certain things. And they found that out right away and they exploited that. And I let them know. They said, well, can you keep an eye on these things and let me know? So when he would confront certain people, they'll be like, wow, how did he find that out?